some machines do more than move. They shift the meaning of performance itself. Every few years, a design comes along that changes how drivers think about control, grip, and the intimate language between human and machine. It is not about raw numbers or flashy styling. It is about connection, the ability to feel the road through engineering that seems alive beneath your hands. When a car translates every surface change, every micro-correction, into instant response, it becomes something greater than transportation. It becomes an experience of precision. The model we are covering today turned that philosophy into an obsession for tuners, engineers, and purists alike. Its steering feel, its power delivery, and its balance of aggression and refinement made it a modern legend. For those who live for that perfect driving moment, this story is a reminder that performance is as much about touch as torque. If you enjoy deep dives into engineering icons, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment which machine you want featured next. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 arrived as an evolution of a legend, a machine already feared and admired across continents. By the time this version rolled onto streets and tracks, the GT-R name had already earned mythic status. Yet what set the 2020 model apart was not another horsepower leap or aerodynamic overhaul. It was refinement, the subtle recalibration of every element that connects driver to asphalt. The steering wheel, often overlooked as a simple interface, became the symbol of this transformation. Crafted with all-contour grip zones, reshaped for fingertip precision, and tuned for tactile communication, it turned each motion into an extension of thought. This was Nissan listening closely to the most devoted GT-R owners, and then delivering a tactile dialogue few performance cars could match. To understand the GT-R R35 2020, one must begin with its lineage. The R35 had launched back in 2007 as a shock to the system. A supercar engineered from the mindset of accessibility rather than exclusivity. It was Japan's ultimate statement that technology could democratize performance. The 2020 update represented the platform's maturity, a culmination of years of relentless iteration. Engineers had refined the hydraulic-electric steering assist, adjusted caster angles, and even reworked bushings to achieve balance under both highway cruising and apex carving. But the most perceptible change was felt in the wheel. Literally. Its shape told the story of how far the R35 had evolved, shedding the brute force of earlier years for nuanced control. On paper, the 2020 GT-R carried familiar specs. A 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6 producing 565 horsepower in the premium trim, or up to 600 in the Nismo variant. But in practice, it felt different. Steering response sharpened, turn-in became immediate, and feedback, once slightly muted, now pulsed with life. The wheel's thickness was chosen deliberately. It conveyed strength without fatigue, inviting confidence at any speed. In high-load corners, the rim seemed to vibrate with purpose, letting the driver sense tire adhesion limits without relying on instinct alone. Nissan had managed to bottle mechanical feel in an era dominated by digital isolation. Inside the cockpit, materials reflected that same philosophy. The steering wheel was smaller in diameter, wrapped tighter, finished in a dual texture blend that improved grip under heat and sweat. It was not just luxurious. It was functional art. Tuners soon noticed this, pulling the wheel from the 2020 GT-R and transplanting it into earlier R35s. Forums erupted with discussions about swapping, retrofitting, and calibrating electronic controls to make the 2020 wheel fully operational across prior model years. The demand was not vanity. It was about reclaiming feedback, about restoring the mechanical soul that enthusiasts feared modern steering systems were losing. The story of the Nissan GT-R R35 2020 steering system also mirrors a shift in how performance cars are judged. Drivers began to prioritize steering feel as much as straight-line speed. The era of bragging rights based on 0 to 60 times was giving way to the pursuit of tactile purity. In this context, the GT-R's 2020 steering upgrade became a cultural marker, an acknowledgement that sensation mattered as much as specification. Nissan's engineers did not reinvent the chassis. They simply removed layers of interference between driver and machine. The result was a car that felt more human, more intuitive, despite, or perhaps because of, its immense power. Even rival manufacturers took notice. Rumors circulated that teams benchmarking the GT-R 2020 were studying its steering calibration for mid-cycle updates on their own performance flagships. While some criticized the R35 platform as aging, those who actually drove the 2020 model understood its mastery. It was not about novelty. It was about refinement reaching near perfection. Steering inputs were quick yet stable, heavy at speed but featherlight in precision. The front end tracked with uncanny obedience, especially when pushed through quick transitions. That translated into confidence. And confidence is what makes performance accessible. Behind the scenes, Nissan's development team had focused on feedback loops. The electro-hydraulic system used finely tuned mapping to deliver consistent resistance through varying cornering loads. While full electric steering was sweeping the industry, Nissan stayed loyal to a hybrid approach, keeping some hydraulic pressure to preserve road feel. The 2020 wheel design complemented this perfectly. By optimizing spoke weight and rim thickness, engineers balanced inertia to avoid lag between driver input and tire response. The result was steering that communicated microtextures of tarmac, a near telepathic bond between driver and GTR. In the tuner world, this wheel became a symbol. Builders obsessed over Alcantara grip sections, contrasting stitch colors, and the molded thumb rests positioned for mid-corner leverage. The detail that once seemed trivial now represented ultimate control. The aftermarket followed fast. Soon, replica steering wheels flooded online marketplaces, while high-end shops began offering custom GTR 2020-inspired wheels for other cars entirely. Ironically, what began as a subtle OEM improvement became an aftermarket phenomenon. The obsession was not just about aesthetics. It was about recapturing that unique feedback loop Nissan had perfected. Yet beneath the admiration lay an important question. Could this tactile connection survive modernization? As automakers leaned deeper into driver assists and digital mediation, the 2020 GTR R35 served as a last stand for analog feel in a high-tech world. Every press of the steering wheel was a reminder that performance driving is sensory, not virtual. The wheel's feedback transmitted confidence in a way no algorithm could reproduce. That reality resonated deeply with enthusiasts, sparking discussions about whether the GTR platform had peaked in 2020, before the inevitable shift to greater automation. The Nissan GTR R35 2020 thus marked a philosophical milestone. It stood at the crossroads of analog intuition and digital control, offering proof that a car could deliver massive computing power without filtering out emotion. For drivers who experienced it, the steering wheel was the handshake between human and machine, an agreement built on trust. It was more than a part. It was a promise that precision could coexist with passion. And in the world of performance cars, that is a legacy few machines can claim. The Nissan GTR R35 2020 demonstrated that refinement can be revolutionary. Beneath its familiar silhouette, every element was reconsidered, rebalanced, and re-engineered for the driver's senses. The heart of that evolution pulsed through the steering wheel, an instrument that turned raw numbers into emotion. Owners described it not as a component but as a conduit. Each input translated into instant feedback that inspired confidence even at the car's staggering limits. Yet this transformation did not happen in isolation. It was the result of deliberate engineering choices shaped by more than a decade of experimentation. From the earliest R35 models, Nissan had been refining the connection between chassis and steering geometry. The 2020 iteration represented the final stage of a long pursuit of harmony between weight distribution, suspension stiffness, and front-end communication. Engineers targeted micro-adjustments measured in fractions of millimeters. Bushings were redesigned to reduce torsional deflection. Steering rack mounting points were reinforced for more linear feedback, and the software controlling hydraulic assistance was rewritten for smoother load transitions. These were invisible changes on paper, but behind the wheel, they redefined the car's personality. The GTR R35 2020 did not just respond faster. It anticipated driver intent. In corners, this anticipation manifested as grace under pressure. When the front tires reached their adhesion threshold, the wheel conveyed it with clarity, a subtle vibration rather than abrupt resistance. It was as if the car whispered to the driver rather than shouted. The Alcantara surface provided the perfect medium for that dialogue, maintaining grip under high lateral forces without harsh texture fatigue. Professional tuners noticed this and began testing steering input consistency under simulated track conditions. The data confirmed what drivers already felt. The 2020 GTR's wheel delivered more accurate information at the limit than many newer competitors using fully electronic systems. One of the keys to this success lay in the interplay between steering and the Atessa ETS all-wheel drive system. The GTRS computer continuously adjusted torque split based on steering angle, yaw rate, and throttle input. In earlier models, these transitions could feel abrupt, creating a tug-of-war between front and rear. The 2020 update introduced smoother synchronization, ensuring that steering feedback remained linear even during aggressive power shifts. The steering wheel became a real-time sensor for what the drivetrain was doing beneath the surface. The sensation was addicting. Each corner was a conversation of micro-corrections and responses that rewarded precision rather than aggression. To appreciate why this mattered, consider the culture surrounding the GTR. By 2020, the car had developed a global identity as both a performance benchmark and a tuning canvas. For enthusiasts, it represented the perfect starting point for experimentation. The steering wheel, once a static piece of hardware, became a symbol of individuality. Tuners would rewrap it, recalibrate it, or even modify its electronics to suit personal preferences. Some sought tighter resistance for track work. Others favored smoother rotation for daily driving. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 made such customization meaningful because it offered a foundation of excellence, a base that responded predictably to tuning without losing integrity. Critically, the steering system also reflected the car's evolving philosophy of performance. Earlier GT-RS were characterized by brute force acceleration and data-driven dominance. The 2020 model introduced finesse. Nissan engineers prioritized human perception, how drivers sense stability, precision, and flow, over raw telemetry. That shift positioned the GT-R R35 2020 as a car that could appeal to both technical purists and emotional enthusiasts. The steering wheel embodied that balance, blending Japanese craftsmanship with racing logic. Each contour, stitch, and rotation angle had purpose. This attention to touch proved that even in a digital era, analog sensation remained essential. Behind the wheel, that truth came alive. Drivers reported a newfound calm under pressure. Where earlier versions demanded constant correction, the 2020 car encouraged trust. You could guide it with fingertips rather than muscle. The car's mass, which once felt imposing, now felt cooperative. This behavioral change extended beyond mechanics. It altered the driver's psychology. Confidence bred smoother inputs. Smoother inputs unlocked greater performance. It was a virtuous cycle initiated by tactile feedback. Nissan's engineers had essentially programmed emotion into physics. This achievement also reflected broader trends in automotive design. As more manufacturers adopted fully electronic steering, complaints grew about artificial feel and disconnected response. Nissan's decision to retain a hydraulic assist component looked almost conservative at the time. Yet it proved visionary. The GT-R R35 2020 delivered what many purely digital systems could not: consistency. Whether on hot tarmac or wet asphalt, steering resistance remained organic. The wheel did not lie. It communicated friction, weight transfer, and surface variation with reliability. That honesty resonated with serious drivers who valued feedback more than convenience. The significance extended beyond Nissan's lineup. The GT-R R35 2020 became a teaching tool across the industry. Automotive journalists highlighted its steering as a benchmark for balance between technology and feel. Independent tuners used it to calibrate simulation rigs, citing its natural resistance curve as ideal for high-fidelity training environments. Even track day enthusiasts used the GT-R 2020 steering as a reference for aftermarket upgrades in unrelated vehicles. Without intending to, Nissan had created a new standard for steering design, a benchmark not measured in speed or power but in connection. For those who experienced it firsthand, the sensation lingered long after the drive ended. The wheel's memory stayed in the muscles, the subtle resistance of its turn etched into reflex. It taught drivers to trust nuance, to value detail. And that is what separated the Nissan GT-R R35 2020 from the competition. It was not just a supercar. It was a teacher. Every lap, every corner, reinforced the principle that true performance is about understanding, not dominance. That steering wheel, tactile, deliberate, alive, became the car's signature. In an industry chasing automation, it stood for the enduring value of human control. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 ultimately became a masterclass in evolution over revolution. Its steering wheel, once treated as a secondary component, transformed into the physical and emotional core of the car. By 2020, the R35 platform had matured into something more than just a fast machine. It was a dialogue between history and modernity, built on years of relentless refinement. When drivers gripped that wheel, they touched the culmination of countless engineering choices meant to make speed feel effortless yet alive. The sensation was immediate and intimate, and it marked a turning point in how performance cars would be judged for years to come. This model stood as proof that incremental changes, when layered with purpose, can redefine a legend. Nissan did not chase records or headlines. It focused on feel. The GT-R R35 2020 embodied that discipline. The steering wheel reflected decades of learning about driver psychology, from the earliest Skyline GT-RS that ruled Japanese circuits to the global R35 phenomenon. Each iteration brought the company closer to perfection, and by 2020, the refinement reached a level where the steering wheel no longer needed justification. It simply belonged. The car's response was immediate but never harsh, its feedback vivid but never overwhelming. This equilibrium of control and comfort was rare, especially in a car capable of such immense acceleration. The steering experience also illuminated something deeper about Nissan's approach to engineering culture. Rather than chase novelty, the brand sought timelessness. The 2020 wheel captured that philosophy with materials that aged gracefully, stitching patterns chosen for endurance, and ergonomics designed for real-world use, not just track theatrics. It was the product of humility in design, the belief that a driver's connection to the car is sacred, and every millimeter matters. This mindset stood in stark contrast to the industry's growing fascination with digital steering feedback simulations and programmable haptic systems. The GT-R R35 2020 reminded everyone that authenticity still had value. For tuners and enthusiasts, this authenticity was addictive. The steering wheel became a collectible, a status symbol for those chasing mechanical purity. Retrofits into older R35s and even non-GT-R projects became a common sight. Online communities began cataloging part numbers, installation guides, and calibration data to preserve the integrity of the 2020 steering feel. Some specialists even built businesses around refurbishing and customizing GT-R 2020 wheels, offering exotic materials or custom inserts while preserving the factory geometry. In a world where technology changes faster than trends, the staying power of this one component said everything about its influence. From a performance standpoint, the GT-R R35 2020 also marked the beginning of a new era of driver involvement. By the early 2020s, cars were becoming increasingly automated, their systems capable of predicting and correcting human error in milliseconds. Yet here was a machine that trusted its driver. The steering system invited participation rather than intervention. It rewarded skill and attention rather than correcting them away. This confidence-building quality became the model's greatest strength. It showed that true performance lies not in removing the human element, but in empowering it. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 made its driver feel responsible, not redundant. Even among rivals, there was quiet respect. Industry engineers acknowledged that the GT-RS steering feel defied easy replication. It balanced analog mechanics and electronic assistance with uncanny precision. The key was its hybrid system, the combination of hydraulic feedback and digital control logic. While others pursued lightweight steering at the cost of connection, Nissan found a middle ground. That balance became a reference point for engineers studying how to retain realism in future electric or hybrid platforms. The GT-R R35 2020's influence quietly shaped steering calibration philosophies across the performance segment. As the decade moved forward, the car's reputation only grew. Collectors began to view the 2020 edition as the definitive form of the R35 generation. The sweet spot before heavier emission systems and digital steering inputs would alter the experience. Owners spoke of the model as a bridge between eras, the last GT-R to feel analog while fully embracing modern capability. The steering wheel, in this sense, became a symbol of resistance to over-digitization. It embodied a tactile honesty that enthusiasts feared would fade away as performance became more virtual and less visceral. There was also a human side to the story. Many who worked on the GT-R R35 2020 had been part of the project since its debut more than a decade earlier. For them, refining the steering was a matter of pride and legacy. They saw it not as a product update but as a promise kept, to deliver the purest possible driving interface before the next generation inevitably redefined the formula. That passion translated into details invisible to most. The damping properties of the wheel core, the resistance coefficient of its rotation, the ergonomic mapping of its spokes to driver posture. Each was engineered for feel, not numbers. For drivers, those efforts translated into serenity at the limit. Whether threading through mountain switchbacks or gliding down a highway, the wheel told the truth about grip, balance, and motion. It never exaggerated, never dulled. It was like a seasoned instructor, quietly guiding without intruding. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 did not need digital gimmicks or artificial cues. It relied on precision built into its bones. The result was a driving experience that combined Japanese craftsmanship with racing-grade clarity, a combination that remains rare even among far newer machines. In retrospect, the 2020 GT-R's greatest achievement was not its speed, but its sensation of speed. It taught a generation of drivers to feel again, to listen to what the car was saying rather than what the computer was predicting. The steering wheel was the messenger in that conversation, and its message was clear. Control is the purest thrill there is. For all its complexity, the GT-R R35 2020 distilled driving to that simple truth. And that truth is why its legend endures. The Nissan GT-R R35 2020 stands today as the final chapter in one of performance motoring's most enduring stories. Across its life, the R35 evolved from a disruptor to a benchmark. The 2020 model captured that balance perfectly. Its steering wheel became more than an interface. It became the heart of the driving experience, the physical expression of everything the GT-R had worked toward since its debut. Through it, drivers could sense the culmination of years of meticulous engineering, each adjustment distilled into one tactile conversation between human and machine. The lesson it left behind was simple. True mastery is not about reinvention but refinement. When enthusiasts look back on the GT-R R35 2020, they see the moment when feel triumphed over flash. The car reminded the world that power is meaningless without control, and control is meaningless without feedback. The steering wheel symbolized that balance perfectly, bridging brute strength and delicate precision. Its shape, texture, and resistance embodied the principle that the best technology disappears when executed perfectly. It just works. That subtlety defined the model's greatness. While many cars of its era chased attention through spectacle, the 2020 GT-R commanded respect through composure. It proved that the most memorable machines are not necessarily the loudest but the most honest. The steering experience of the Nissan GT-R R35 2020 left a cultural imprint, shaping how drivers, tuners, and even rival engineers thought about engagement. It demonstrated that connection is measurable not only through telemetry, but through trust. Every nuance of feedback built confidence. Every smooth transition invited risk taken intelligently rather than recklessly. For tuners, it became a blueprint for balance. For collectors, a milestone of mechanical purity. For engineers, a case study in restraint. Few cars achieve such universality. As performance cars evolve toward electrification and autonomy, the GT-R R35 2020's legacy grows stronger. It represents the end of an era when power still bowed to touch, when analog sensation coexisted with computing precision. That steering wheel, its weight, its contour, its grip, remains an icon of mechanical intimacy. It will be studied, replicated, and remembered not because it looked dramatic but because it felt right. In a world increasingly dominated by simulation, the GT-R R35 2020 proved that authenticity is irreplaceable. So when future generations search for the moment driving felt most alive, they will find it here. In the calm precision of a Nissan GT-R R35 2020 cornering at full load, in the soft resistance of its Alcantara wrapped wheel transmitting pure confidence, and in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that everything you feel is real. The story of this machine ends not with noise, but with understanding. The legend lives through touch, through trust, and through that perfect steering wheel that every tuner, driver, and dreamer still wants to hold.